Last year's SC Pacer was a stripped down race flat that I thought would be great for 1 mile or maybe 5K road racing. But when Emily Sisson takes your road flat and breaks an American record in it, it don't matter what anyone thinks. That shoe is now a marathon shoe. Enter the SC Pacer version 2, a shoe built for Emily Sisson. But when it comes to running, pros are definitely not like us. So can non-elites actually run marathons in this thing? It's time to lace up the SC Pacer 2 and take it for a run. Yo, what's going on? My name is Kafuzi and I'm a non-elite runner who reviews running shoes here on YouTube. And today I want to talk to you guys all about the New Balance SC Pacer version 2. But before I give you my thoughts on this shoe, I do want to go over some disclosures. This is a pair of shoes that New Balance sent to me for the purpose of review, so I didn't have to pay for these shoes. However, nobody's paying me to make this video or to include their brand in this video, and no one's going to get a chance to preview any of my footage or my thoughts before you guys get a chance to see this video on YouTube. So with that disclosure out of the way, let's talk about the SC Pacer 2, and let's start with the specs. There's a couple of major changes to this shoe this year, and the biggest one is that it's bigger. It's now coming in at 32.8 millimeters of stack height in the heel and 24.8 millimeters of stack height in the forefoot, giving us an 8 millimeter drop. And we also have New Balance's updated fuel cell formulation in this shoe. It's the version of fuel cell that has PIBA in it. I don't think it's a full 100% PIBA because they always describe it as a midsole with PIBA in it, so I think it's a PIBA blend. Now, we still have the carbon fiber plate in this shoe. You could see the energy arc in this groove in the middle of the shoe. They've tried to apply a minimal amount of rubber to keep things nice and lightweight, so there is a bit of exposed foam here, but there is still plenty of rubber coverage on the forefoot and on the two sides of the heel. Moving to the upper, we have absolutely the bare minimum in terms of what you will need to keep your foot on the shoe. It's a single layer of mesh with giant holes in the mesh that make it really nice and breathable, very similar to the style of upper that they used last year. And they're including on the tongue something that they're calling a track spike tongue, basically the minimal amount of fabric that you could put on the shoe to cover your foot at the top where the laces cross. And when it comes to padding and structure in the heel cup, there's very little structure in this heel cup. It's very floppy. And there aren't any overlays or plastic elements that are on the shoe. Even the logo here is just spray painted on. Altogether, this shoe is listed as 6.9 ounces, but when I weighed my size 9, mine came in at 7.2 ounces or 206 grams. Now that we've talked about the paper specs, let's talk about what it's like to actually run in the shoe. The shoe still feels very much to me like an SC Pacer. It's fast and it's aggressive. And at warm-up paces and recovery paces that I use during my workout, the shoe almost feels like it has a bit of a negative heel drop, but this shoe really isn't meant to be run at easy and recovery paces. This is a shoe meant for running fast. And when you are picking up the pace in this shoe, it responds very nicely. The inclusion of PIBA into the blend in this midsole foam is a very welcome addition. It's something that this shoe definitely benefits from, and it takes a lot of the harshness away that I felt in the original version of the SC Pacer. So I'm getting a nice combo of softness with responsiveness in this shoe, and I'm still very much feeling the interaction of that carbon fiber plate in here as well. It starts out high in the back and then drops into a very low position, which is something that I've seen in a lot of shoes designed for very fast turnover. The upper is lightweight and breathable, super comfortable, just like last year's SC Pacer, and it makes me wish that they would put this style of upper on more of the shoes across the New Balance lineup, because I just find it to be so breathable, so lightweight, and just so enjoyable. The fit is true to size for me, and it is a little bit on the snug side though, which is something that I would expect for something that's meant to be raced in, but because this material is so comfortable, it never felt like it was crunching my toes, it just felt like it was snug on there. But overall, even though I think this shoe is much better suited for longer distance running than its predecessor, I still don't think that this is a marathon shoe, at least not for most people that are out there. I think that this could be a really great 5K, 10K racer, maybe the half marathon. For me, my first workout in this shoe was a total of 12 miles, including the warm-up, cool-down, recovery paces, and all the work phases of the workout. But by the end of that 12 miles, my feet definitely felt like they could have used a little bit more protection and a little bit more comfort. And it's not that this shoe isn't tall enough, because in fact, this shoe is taller than the Rebel version 4, at least on paper. I think what's giving it that sense of harshness is the plate position. While it's great for a quick turnover and makes it feel really aggressive and powerful, it also makes the foam not feel like there's as much foam in there. And so even though it's much taller than it was last year, it still feels like it's slammed low to the ground, which I'm assuming is an intended effect, something that they wanted to put in the shoe, something that the people that this shoe was designed for are actively looking for. So I'm not saying that it's necessarily bad, but I'm saying it's very different from the things that I want in a marathon racing shoe. And I also think that it's to such an extent that I'm not sure that most people who are running marathons are going to be able to take the SC Pacer 2 for the marathon distance. But I think that if you are looking for a shoe to race 5Ks and 10Ks, or if you're looking to do a lot of faster speed work, like if 800-meter repeats or 400-meter repeats are your favorite kind of workout, then I think the SC Pacer is definitely going to be a shoe that you're going to want to take a look at. Now, before I wrap up the video, I do want to take a minute and kind of talk about the SC Pacer 2 and where I think it fits in the broader New Balance lineup. Now, whenever I try to understand a brand and its shoes, I always like to start at the daily trainer, and for New Balance, that's going to be the Rebel version 4. This is the shoe that you can run the bulk of your everyday miles in. You can even run a lot of very easy miles in, and you can even do a lot of light workouts or fartleks in this kind of shoe. It's really versatile. It is kind of their do-it-all shoe. But if you want something that's a little bit more aggressive for your marathon race day, that's where their Marathon Racer, the SC Elite version 4 comes in. This comes in at 40 millimeters of stack height and a carbon fiber plate, and it's a lot of fun for marathon racing. It's also comfortable enough to take you the 26.2. Now, where I think the SC Pacer 2 fits in is kind of in this spot right here, in between the daily trainer and the Marathon Racer. Now, typically shoes in this position, in that tempo or workout shoe space, have a little bit more durability built into them, so that it's a little bit like an everyday trainer in terms of durability, but also a little bit like a race day shoe in terms of speed and aggressiveness. But that's not exactly what the SC Pacer 2 is, but I feel like a lot of people will use it in this space. When you're doing mile repeats, or preferably even faster stuff, 800-meter repeats, 400-meter repeats, or maybe even you're doing some work on the track and don't want to spike up, I feel like the SC Pacer is going to be really fun for running very fast. Now, the SC Trainer, and I have the version 2, is a shoe that's much bigger than any of the shoes that are over here, and I put it on this end of the daily trainer, kind of in that max cushion space, but it's also a really good long run shoe as well. So something that you want to put in for your longest runs. So I feel like this is the way that I understand at least the fuel cell part of the New Balance lineup. And I mentioned that fuel cell part very specifically because New Balance has two separate parallel lines kind of shoes in their arsenal. And so let's move these over to the side and talk about the second set of shoes. They have a different type of foam for a different type of experience, and that's their Fresh Foam X. And so the daily trainer in that space is going to be the 880. This is a couple of versions old, but this is a shoe that's going to be used for the bulk of your everyday miles. It's got a bunch of rubber indicating that it's meant for high volume mileage. And then after that, there isn't exactly a race shoe or even necessarily a tempo or workout shoe. So you'd probably still be looking at the SC Pacer 2 and the SC Elite version 4 as your race day shoes. But from this daily trainer, at least in the Fresh Foam X family, we get bigger and bigger and bigger. And so there's the 880, and then we also have the 1080, which is a really nice update, makes for a very fun, also a daily trainer, even though this kind of used to be in the max cushion category. It's also much more plush and luxurious than the 880 is. The 1080 is kind of one of my favorite shoes that New Balance is making right now. And then from there we go even bigger still, and this is a shoe I haven't reviewed yet, but just started testing, and that's the Fresh Foam X Balos. So far to me, this seems to be like everything that the 1080 has, just a lot more of it. So it's still bouncy, it's still really fun. It has like the updated Fresh Foam X bounciness to it, but also still has kind of that daily trainer feel to it. You can also pick up the pace pretty nicely, at least so far in my testing. Hit the subscribe button so you can see when this review comes out. But then at the farthest end of it, the biggest, most cushiest shoe that New Balance has is the More. And this is the version 4. I don't have the 5 yet, but this is going to be for your easy days, your recovery days, the times when you want to pamper your feet the most. That's when you're going to reach for the More. And so this Fresh Foam X family of shoes that New Balance has, that's primarily going to be an indicator of, one, the type of foam that you're getting, but also the type of experience that you're getting. These are more for having fun and really enjoying your daily training miles, whatever that kind of looks like for you, whether it's more on the, I want something a little bit more firm and close to the ground, or I don't want to feel the ground ever at all, and you're going to go with the More version 4 or version 5. That's kind of the spectrum here for these daily training shoes that are the Fresh Foam X family. Now let's wrap up the video by talking about the buying guide, and we could talk about some alternatives as well. The SC Pacer 2 is available now at a price of $200, and I feel like that's a little bit pricey for what you're getting. And I think part of that is if you're actually going to use this as a marathon racer, $200 is actually a really good price point. There's not a lot of marathon racers that are at $200. But if you're going to be using it as a 5K, 10K racer, I'm not sure that that $200 price point quite stacks up. Let's take a look at some of the alternatives that you might also want to consider for shoes that I think perform comparably, at least for us non-elites. The first shoe that I'm going to have you take a look at is from Adidas, and that's the Takumi Sen 10. The Takumi Sen has been one of my favorites in this very niche space of 5K, 10K racers. I do race 5Ks in this. I haven't raced a 10K in a long time, but primarily I'm using this shoe as a complement in my training arsenal for marathons and half marathon training, and I'm using it for some of those fast workouts. And I feel like that's exactly how I'm going to be and how most people are going to be using the SC Pacer version 2. I do feel like the Takumi Sen is a bit of a firmer shoe, but I feel like it also is giving me a little bit more speed and a little less harshness than the SC Pacer 2 does. It's been one of my favorites, and it's still one of my favorites. The Takumi Sen 10 currently retails at $180. Now, the next shoe that I think you can compare against the SC Pacer 2 comes from Hoka, and that's going to be the Cielo Road. Now, in principle, I feel like this shoe is set up quite similarly to the SC Pacer 2. It uses PIBA in the midsole, and it's super lightweight stripped down, intended to be basically a road flat. But this shoe doesn't have any carbon in it at all, so it's a much more flexible shoe, and it gives you even more of that road flat feel. I feel though that the Cielo Road does suffer for its lack of carbon in it, and so it's a little bit more chill and a little bit slower, I think, than the SC Pacer 2 is, but it does come at a $40 discount compared to the SC Pacer 2. The Cielo Road comes in at $160. So those are my thoughts on the SC Pacer 2. A marathon racer, perhaps for a select few, but for the rest of us non-elites, I think it's going to be a fantastic training companion and that 5K, 10K racer. If you have any other questions about any of the shoes I talked about today, feel free to put them in the comments down below, or better yet, stop by the live stream that I do over on the Kofuzi Run Club channel. I'd love to talk to you guys over there in the chat. That's all I have for today, everybody. Thanks so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. Hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and I will see you in the next one.
Yo, what's going on?